the hotels are what we call bulk generators because they generate more than 50 kgs of waste per day. So when they are self-sufficient, they put in place infrastructure, they put in place operations, and they make sure that they're not giving the waste to add as a burden to the rest of Goa. Hi, I'm Vilma Rodrigues, the founder and CEO of Sahas Zero Waste. So Sahas Zero Waste is a social enterprise, an organization that provides holistic waste management and resource recovery services to a range of waste generators. And the organization is now quite mature. We are now 10 years old. We started as a business model in 2013 in Bangalore, but now we offer services pan-India and we're very much in Goa. In fact, we've been in Goa for the last 5 years. So I have recently moved from Bangalore and now settled in Goa. But the Bangalore office is well established. And as I said, we offer services across India. So my role in Goa now is to bring the best of our services that we have now, been around for quite some time in Goa and Bangalore, of course, for 10 years, but bring the same services to Goa and offer people the understanding of what it takes to actually move away from disposal of waste to resource recovery and waste management. So we definitely work with large bulk generators, including resorts, including hotels, including institutions and even village panchayats. So when we talk of resource recovery, India generates about 62 million tons of waste per year. And this waste, when we talk of waste, we're kind of focusing on municipal solid waste, which means wet waste in the form of organic, dry waste in the form of paper, plastic, metal, glass. And we are also looking at things like garden litter and leaf litter. Now, all of this waste can actually be recovered. And up to 96% of that waste can actually become a resource. And that's what we mean by resource recovery. And these are different services that we offer. We have 3 different verticals that push waste from, what we think of as something to be thrown out or disposed to actually resource recovery. So when we look at wet waste, for us, we look to compost or convert it into bio-CNG. And there is a lot of operations around how that conversion takes place. And then, of course, there is the recyclables, the paper, plastic, metal, glass, which need to be collected first. It needs to be sorted then into so many different categories and then moved to different recyclers so that it can come back to us as resources. Now, our work at Sahas Zero Waste, and we call ourselves Sahas Zero Waste, is to enable all of this to happen. And not talk about it, but actually put things in the ground to make it happen. Basically, the segregation is about wet and dry. So it's very simple. Organic waste, which is food waste from our plates, food waste in the form of peels, kitchen waste from, just the cuttings and the peels and the fruit peels, etc. All that goes into wet waste. And then the dry is the recyclables. So paper, plastic, metal, glass becomes dry waste, which can move into recycling if there is a good process around it. Yeah, so there's, the technology is actually all about nature. Nature has the best tools for all of this conversion, especially for wet waste. But you need to nudge nature a bit, and that's where we step in. So for instance, when you're talking about the waste from the kitchens, which is sometimes pineapple peels, cauliflower peels, because it takes time for nature to break down these materials, we need to nudge it by shredding it. So we have shredders that shred the waste including things like garden litter. And once that waste is shredded, it needs to go into a digestion system. So in that digestion system, very often if you just keep it out in the open, I mean, you can do it if you're a small home, but when you're in a larger setting, you can't keep, that kind of volume, which is more than 1 kg in the open. So you need to put it into a container. You need to watch it. You need to turn it. You need to give it water. You need to make sure it's getting just the right amount of moisture. So those are the techniques that are required for composting to take place and not be a burden to anybody who has a composting system. And when you look at the dry waste in terms of technologies, yes, for recycling, you definitely need to have very good technologies. And for plastic and paper today, there is good recycling technologies, including for packaging waste. But if to bring it to that level of taking your waste to a recycler, you need to have a good collection system, a good sorting into different categories, and then finally you need to have a good transportation system to different recyclers. Just let me take a minute to explain to you the complexities. Plastic waste. Everybody talks today about plastic waste. There is about at least 15 different types of plastics. So plastics are categorized into the flexible plastic, which is your snack packets, etc., and your rigid plastic, which is like your containers, shampoo bottles, etc. Now, even in those two different categories, you have so many different types of plastic. You will have PET, you will have HDP, you will have LDP. Now, these are all the technical terms, but you will have to collect, sort, and make sure that each different category of plastic goes to one particular recycler. So that's how resource recovery takes place. That's the intensity of operations that is required if we have to recycle our waste and recover resources. Yeah, so Goa has, all of us love Goa, all of us are here to enjoy the beauty that Goa offers to us. And we need not look at waste or garbage, and I don't like the use of the word garbage because it has, it kind of has a different impression altogether. But all of us need to now do what it takes to make sure that waste is not the ugly side of Goa, but that we are contributing towards enhancing the state of Goa and the beauty that is Goa. So in a resort, a boutique resort like Ahilya, they generate about 40 kgs of wet waste every day. And additionally, another 10 to 15 kgs of garden litter every week. So we put in place a composting system where the wet waste is now brought to this composting system, which is, it's a container. There is a dedicated person who makes sure that the composting system is running properly. And what you get out is a good quality compost, which again goes into their kitchen garden, goes into growing vegetables, and of course then the vegetables come back into the kitchen. So that's the kind of circular systems that is possible for wet waste. And then for their paper, plastic, metal, glass, there is a good sorting system that is there, which happens in the kitchen, near the kitchen, and then that waste is stored and collected by us for the kind of recycling that is possible even in Goa. So that is our expectation now. We've been working 3 years in Ahilya and 5 years totally in Goa. And this is what, the hotels are what we call bulk generators, because they generate more than 50 kgs of waste per day. And they have to be self-sufficient in their waste. So when they are self-sufficient, they put in place infrastructure, they put in place operations, and they make sure that, they're not giving the waste to add as a burden to the rest of Goa. So this is a system that we would like hotels, resorts, institutions, gated communities, all of who have space. And even if they don't have space, they have to make space so that this waste does not come and become the ugly side of Goa. all it takes is an investment, of course. You do need to invest in the right infrastructure. And today you have a range of composting solutions. You have a range of biogas solutions. And also for the dry waste, you have different options that are available. The business model that we have with Ahilya, or the association with Ahilya, is that we help them on an end-to-end basis. We give them good data at the end of the month so that they know where all their waste is going. But they also pay us a service fee. So we are able to run a good operations because there is revenue from a service fee and there is some revenues also from waste. And this is the kind of model that will sustain, because we also need to make sure that whoever is working with waste also gets a livelihood which is not an exploitative livelihood. That means people get paid minimum wages, people are able to, live in a place like Goa in decent working conditions and there should be a decent livelihood that is made available to them. Yeah, so, we've talked about almost 100 kgs of waste being generated in a place like this every day. And this waste is going through a cycle of bringing it back in various different ways. So obviously, there is a huge impact in terms of reduction of waste going into the common ecosystem of Goa, but also in terms of emissions reduction. Today, waste management and climate change are so closely related. So poor waste systems does add to climate change. We've seen even in a place like Goa, leaves burning, and that is so tragic because leaves are such a great resource for us to put back into our gardens, and yet we seem to be just burning our leaves in every village, in so many different spaces in Goa. So the implications of what we have is a model that works, which we are plugging into decentralized waste management, where we look to manage waste in smaller quantities in contained spaces with accountability and responsibility. So what we have demonstrated here is a responsible waste management system that gives back to nature and gives back to us because it brings us better health. The moment we don't burn our leaves, and when we do burn our leaves, we are actually causing a big health problem to the neighborhood. So this is the kind of implications that a responsible waste management system brings. So we have invested in a good platform for measuring the kind of input and output that we have. So every customer has access to our platform, which is an MIS system, which is called Zoho. We have a supervisor that inputs the waste and then it goes onto the cloud, and on a monthly basis, how much of waste is being generated and where that waste is going is tracked through this MIS system and comes back to our customer as a report. So that's the kind of promise that we are able to fulfill, that we know where our waste is going and what happens to it. Yeah, so Goa for us is a smaller location, and although we've been here 5 years, we've still the penetration of customers here has been a little low. Right now, we are therefore working on setting up a material recovery facility in Goa for 10 tons of waste per day, and that is being set up and hopefully become operational next month. It's also being supported by WWF. So there is WWF is actually supporting this whole venture, and we are the implementing partners for this project for WWF. So right now in Goa, we have a small presence, but that presence is going to go up the moment next month our material recovery facility becomes operational. But on a larger scale, Sahas Zero Waste manages 120 tons of waste per day across India. And we've done a lot of work with collection, storing, aggregation, and traceability of waste. We also do a lot of work on livelihood. So we do our own team. We have about 300 strong a team which is 300 strong people. 69% of that is women working at the base of the pyramid. These are our field staff that we deploy in different locations. And we also work a lot with the informal sector because some of the waste that we get is from the informal sector, and we are looking to have a system to transition them into a formal practice. So there is a project which we have, or rather a program that we have, which is helping the informal sector move to formal systems. And that for us is what we believe is social inclusion. So there is therefore an impact on the environment front, but there's also impact on the livelihood front. And that's why our tagline of as an organization, we talk about working with nature, people, and technology. Technology being on the fringe, being on being an enabler, so that we can be able to maximize on resource recovery. So our work is on the front end, and the technology is around collection and aggregation and our material recovery facility. Today, we are always so used to seeing pile-ups of waste, but yet our material recovery facilities have just the right kinds of technologies to make sure the waste is, properly sorted and it is compacted and baled and then goes out to recyclers. I believe that the decentralized system is the vision that we should be following for proper waste management. I talked about the bulk generators. Across India, about 40% of waste comes from these bulk generators. So if we can bring them into proper waste management systems, taking on responsible waste management, then therefore that would definitely make sure that, we don't have waste pile-ups take place. So the vision is for waste generators, including bulk generators and brands, to be at the front end of proper waste management systems. And there is then enough of solutions once that acceptability of responsibility takes place. Younger people are coming into this space. Let there be that sense of accountability to the work that we do. We seem, as entrepreneurs, we get pushed into doing something because our customers don't want to take the responsibility. They don't want to pay us for our waste management services. There is issues also working with local bodies, government, etc. Simply because people want the problem to be brushed under some carpet, waste to be, dumped somewhere, nobody sees it. But we as entrepreneurs know the solutions. So I would really suggest to all the young entrepreneurs or any entrepreneur coming into this space is to, follow your heart to the point where you feel satisfied with the solution. We need to push the solution and make sure there's equal responsibility of all the waste generators. So we really hope that this little video will be something that is a point of reflection, because really we do have solutions in Goa, and we hope to work with many more hotels, large, small, medium, to be able to push out decentralized waste management and responsible systems. We also encourage you to follow It's Goa. I think it's great that they have put waste management and environment into their programming schedule. So do follow them so that together we can at least work for a cleaner, better Goa, a Goa that we would want to come back to and stay here. It's Goa is also collaborating with Act for Goa. And both of these organizations now are going to be looking closely at waste and what's happening to waste and offering solutions and introducing you to other solutions, other entrepreneurs as well, so that together we can actually address the problem of waste in Goa.